boys and girls. Hope you had a good lunch. We are going to continue on with the BFG. And if you remember, Sophie in the BFG in the last chapter, we're talking about how they want to make all of the other giants, the mean giants, disappear. Okay? And I told you the title of the next chapter. It's called Frobscottle and Whiz Poppers. And I told you you're going to like that chapter. Do you know what the chapter's about?
Yeah.
Okay, don't tell them. All right. Ella has read this book with me before, and she really likes this chapter.
You already told them that.
By now, Sophie was beginning to feel not only extremely hungry, but very thirsty as well. Had she been at home, she would have finished her breakfast long ago. Are you sure there's nothing else to eat around here except for those disgusting, smelly snozcumbers? She asked. Not even a Fizzwinkle, answered the big friendly giant. Well, in that case, can I have a little water? She asked. Water? The BFG said, frowning. What is water? Well, we drink it, Sophie said. What do you drink? Frobscottle, announced the BFG. All giants is drinking Frobscottle. Is it as nasty as your snozcumbers? Sophie asked. Nasty? Cried the BFG. Never is it nasty. Frobscottle is sweet and jumbly. He got up from his chair and went to a second huge cupboard. He opened it and took out a glass bottle that must have been 6 feet tall. The liquid inside of it was pale green, and the bottle was half full. Here is Frobscottle, he cried, holding the bottle up proud and high, as though it contained some rare wine. Delumptious, fizzy Frobscottle, he shouted. He gave it a shake, and the green stuff began to fizz like mad. But look, Sophie said, it's fizzing the wrong way. Sophie cried. And indeed it was. The bubbles, instead of traveling upwards and bursting on the surface, were shooting downwards and bursting at the bottom. A pale green frothy fizz was forming at the bottom of the bottle. Okay, so I want you guys to think about this. When you open up, Mrs. Johnson loves Mountain Dew. So when you open up a Mountain Dew or a Sprite or a root beer or a Coke.
Oh, a soda.
Any kind of soft drink, okay? The bubbles in the soft drink go which way? Think to yourself. Yes, the bubbles go up, okay? In a soft drink, when you twist the top off or whenever you pull a tab, the bubbles go up. If you shake a can of soft drink or you shake a bottle before you open it, do you know what happens?
It's exploding.
It explodes, and that's not good either, okay? But both ways, it goes up. The bubble, the carbonation goes up, okay? What on earth do you mean the wrong way? Asked the BFG. Well, in our fizzy drinks, Sophie said, the bubbles always go up and burst at the top. Upwards is the wrong way, cried the BFG. You mustn't ever be having the bubbles go upwards. That's the most flush-bunkling rubbish I is ever hearing. Why do you say that? Sophie asked. You is asking me why? Cried the BFG, waving the enormous bottle around as though he were conducting an orchestra. You is actually meaning to tell me that you cannot see why it is a mistake to have the bubbles flying up instead of down? You said it was flush bunking. Now you say it's a mistake. Which is it? Sophie asked politely. I'm going to show you this picture real quick. So this is a picture of the BFG holding the Frobscottle. Both, cried the BFG. It is flush bunking, and it is a mistake to let the bubbles go upwards. If you can't see why, you must be as quacky as a duckhound. By Ringo, your head must be so full of frog squeakers and buzzwangles, I is frittered if I know how you can think at all. But why shouldn't the bubbles go up? Sophie asked again. I will explain, said the BFG. But tell me first, what name is you calling your frobscottle by? Well, one is Coke, said Sophie. Another is Pepsi. There are lots of them. And all of them, the bubbles go up? The BFG asked. Yes, they all go up, Sophie said. That's catastrophe, cried the BFG. Upgoing bubbles is a catastrophe. I want you to think about what he means by that. Don't say it out loud, just think in your head. But will you please just tell me why, Sophie said. If you listen carefully, I will try to explain, said the BFG. But your brain is so full of bug whiffles, I doubt you will even understand. I will do my best, Sophie said patiently. Very well then, said the BFG. When you is drinking this cokey drink of yours, is it going straight down, or it is going straight down to your tummy? Is that right, or is that left? It's right, Sophie said. And the bubbles, is they also going into your tummy, right or left? Right again, Sophie said. And the bubbles is fizzing upwards, asked the BFG. Well, yes, of course, Sophie said. Which means, said the BFG, that they will all come swish-whiffling up your throat and out your mouth and make a foulsome, belchy burp. That is often true, Sophie said. But what's wrong with a little burp now and again? It's sort of fun. Burping is filthsome, said the BFG. Us giants is never, ever doing it. But with your drink, Sophie said, what was your drink called again? Frobscottle, said the BFG. Yes. With Frobscottle, Sophie said, the bubbles in your tummy will be going downward, and that could have a far nastier result, Sophie said. Okay, this is why I think you guys would enjoy this, and I'm so sad I'm not at school to read this part to you. But I want you to think about what Sophie's saying here. Why nasty? Asked the BFG, frowning. Because, Sophie said, blushing a little, if they go down instead of up, they'll be coming out of somewhere else with an even louder and ruder noise. Yes, a whiz popper, cried the BFG, beaming at her, which means he's smiling really big. Us giants is making whiz poppers all the time. Whiz popping is a sign of happiness. It is music in our ears. You surely is not telling me that a little whiz popping is forbidden among human beings. Well, it is considered extremely rude, Sophie said. But you is whiz popping, is you not, every now and again? Asked the BFG. Well, yes, everyone is whiz popping, if that's what you call it, Sophie said. Kings and queens are whiz popping. Presidents are whiz popping. Glamorous film stars are whiz popping. Little babies are whiz popping. But where I come from, it's not polite to talk about it. Redunculous, said the BFG. If everyone is making whiz poppers, then why not talk about it? We is having a swiggle of this delicious Frobscottle, and you will see the happy result. The BFG shook the bottle vigorously. The pale green stuff fizzed and bubbled. He removed the cork and took a tremendous gurgling swig. "It's gloomy," he cried. "I love it." For a few moments, the big friendly giant stood quite still and looked of absolute happiness. And looked like absolute happiness was spreading over his long, wrinkly face. Then suddenly, the heavens opened and he let fly with a series of the loudest and rudest noises Sophie had ever heard in her life.
Thoughts.
They reverberated around the walls of the cave like thunder, and the glass jars rattled on their shelves. But most astonishing of all, the force of the explosions actually lifted the enormous giant clear off his feet like a rocket. "Whoopee!" he cried. When he came down to earth again. "Now that is whiz-bobbing for you," said the BFG. Sophie burst out laughing. She couldn't help it. "Have some yourself," cried the BFG, tipping the neck of the enormous bottle towards her. Do you have a cup?" Sophie asked. "No cups, only the bottle," said the BFG. Sophie opened her mouth, and very gently the BFG tipped the bottle forward and poured some of the fabulous frobscottle down her throat. And oh gosh, how delicious it was. It was sweet and it was refreshing. It tasted of vanilla and cream with just the faintest trace of raspberries. And the bubbles, they were wonderful. Sophie could actually feel them bouncing and bursting all around in her tummy. It was an amazing sensation. It felt as though hundreds of people were dancing a tiny jig inside her and tickling her with their toes. It was lovely. "It's just lovely," she cried. "Just wait," said the BFG, flapping his ears. Sophie could feel the bubbles traveling lower and lower down her tummy. And then suddenly, inevitably, the explosion came. The trumpet sounded, and she made the walls of the cave ring with the sound of music and thunder. "Bravo!" shouted the BFG, waving the bottle. "You is very good for a beginner. Let's have some more." All right, and I'm going to show you this picture before we hop off. So it's not showing you the BFG's head up here, but remember, the table that Sophie's on is 12 feet high, okay? And look how high the BFG is off the ground because he drank the frobscottle. All right, that is the end of this chapter. Our next chapter for Friday is called Journey to Dream Country. All right, boys and girls, I hope you have a great afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye.